so not quite what I planned to do. I'm meant to be overhauling the advancement system. I've started doing a little bit, but while I was doing that, another feature, right, I thought needed reworking is the crafting, right? Now, no, I'm not getting rid of drop crafting. I love drop crafting. I think it's a fun mechanic of the pack that gives it a little bit of flavor, but what I have thought is necessary is to overhaul the way the multi-block structures work. So rather than forcing the player to build them themselves, what we've ended up going with is this, structure kits, right? So each of these have a building and tell you the required empty space. So for instance, to assemble an ancient forge, you'll need this structure kit and you'll require an empty space of 3 by 2 by 3. Now, building wise, you go width, length, depth, or is it length, depth, length, width, depth? Either way, height is last, is what I'm trying to say. This, I've gone coordinates, right? So X, Y, Z. Hopefully that makes sense. But for instance, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to take a copy. If we have this, and we try to build it somewhere where there is not the correct position, so we'll do that, for instance, right? Because it needs a 3 by 2 by 3. What it will do is it will give it back to us and say, well, this area does not have the required space to build this structure. But if it does, we can throw it out, and yeah, it assembles it, right? So that's our ancient forge, and as you can see, I've started doing custom blocks as well to try and pretty them up. So here we have some magma blackstone to go with the magma block, right? Get rid of it though, and everything goes back to normal. So you destroy the structure in any way, and it will go back to normal. But yeah, so we've basically just made kits for every single craftable multi-block structure, and I don't know if I'm going to leave in the ability for the player to assemble them themselves, right? So if you build, for instance, the rock crusher, which is just amethyst on the bottom side of crying obsidian, right? Will it still function? That I'm still a bit iffy on, but for now, why don't we just go through them all and we can see what they are. So that was the Ancient Forge, the Boiling Cauldron, Deep Slate Furnace, Dragon Altar, Enchanter's Crucible, Grinding Station, Lightning Forge, Rock Crusher, Shulk Exchange, Shulk Forge. Okay, so starting off the Boiling Cauldron, right, nice and simple. The other really good thing I can do with this is I've also put in a marker, right, so marker entity, you can't see it, but what this means is I can dictate particles just as I'm dictating, these block displays, right? So for instance, these chains aren't actually real, you can't break them, you don't get anything out of them, right? But they are part of the multi-block structure to give it a little bit more feel, right? Rather than just a floating cauldron, it's floating chains. But yeah, so again, you break it, disappear, and you can still mine stuff and get the blocks back. And basically the way the structure kits will work is you will have to craft them with all the necessary blocks for the multi-block structure. It just makes it a little bit easier to assemble. So for instance, with the Deep Slate Furnace, right, this is a 3 by 3. So whatever block this lands on is where it will build, just like so. And then this will be the workable structure. And again, I can add particles, I can add sounds, I can add all bunch of different things controlled through the marker entity, rather than just having it detect whenever an item is dropped onto the structure. So for instance, normally with this Deep Slate Furnace, and the recipe should work if I can remember, I think it's like, no, it's one copper to 3 sand, I believe. So hopefully this works, right? So usually I'm detecting the item, and then resulting in the recipe being triggered and the crafting mechanic going off, which is particle sounds and generating an item and yada yada yada. Now I can control that through the marker entity that is invisible and right here in the center, right? Which makes it a little bit easier too. Again, you destroy, actually, main blocks of a structure is what you have to destroy. I don't know if I'll go with all blocks, but basically this is the magma block in Blast Furnace. That's what I'm detecting whenever you craft, right? That the item you throw out is between those 2 blocks. So you have to destroy one of them to destroy the actual multi-block structure. Alright, Dragon Altar is, ta-da! Not anything too fancy, but I'll probably add particles to it, right? I've just tried to, I don't know, texturize the endstone stairs. For this one, I wasn't quite sure. Right, I like it as it is, as a nice altar, right? You drop stuff onto the egg. Then we have the Enchanter's Crucible, which I did snazz up. Oh, alright, that one is broken. That's good to know. I'll try it again, because I'm pretty sure I did test these, and they were working. So I'll put it over there just in case. No, okay. So we'll hold that one off. Grinding Station, how about you? Grinding Station is not working either. Okay, what about this one? Alright, that's good. That's good. That's not. Alright. And that's not. Alright, but that one was actually deleted. Oh, Shulk Exchange wasn't working for a different reason. The Rock Crusher should. This was one of the latest ones I tested. Ah, okay. There is a problem. We're not getting them back. So basically, when I throw it out and it doesn't work, it should tell me, and it should teleport back to my inventory. I'm curious why. So basically, I'm checking when the entity is on ground, and then running a block check, right? So whether or not this is solid or air. So I'm curious why these were not always working, and I'm going to have to assume it's placement instead. But no, that one's not. That one that just disappears. Yeah, okay. So I'll have to look into some of these, but Rock Crusher is a bit more snazzy than just, yeah, the amethyst on the bottom of Crying Obsidian, so I thought that was important. It looks really nice now. I think I've done well with some of the designs, but yeah, so Rock Crusher, you can throw any of stone blocks into, it should crush them. Perfect. Yeah. Looks good, sounds good, all good. Although, it should also have a chance to break the amethyst. Alright, so aside from those three, where are we up to? Shulk Forge, Spell Altar, Wax Refinery, and the Experience Infuser. So, biggest changes would be the Experience Infuser and the Shulk Forge. So, the Experience Infuser no longer requires the Budding Amethyst below it, but that's fine, right? It's just a fancy cauldron. And then for the Shulk Forge, what I've ended up going with is we used to have two different structures you had to assemble. A Shulk Forge in tuning and a Shulk Forge imbuing. And that was really confusing. And altogether, the structures were not fantastic. You have to go 5 layers high, right? And you have to have this empty block in the middle. And altogether, really wasn't happy with it. So what we end up going with is combining the two together and having this structure. Fantastic. We'll try that one again. If I throw it out like that. Nope, it still gets deleted. Alright. We'll come back to that one. Never mind. Wax Refinery. Thank God, a lot of these are working. That's good. And Spell is working. Yeah, so now even the enchanting tables are Crying Obsidian for this, right? So I thought that looks nice and fit. Oh, why are you off-center? That's irksome. You should not be off-center. Yeah, alright. A little bit more testing to do, but hopefully it won't take too long. Okay, hopefully that should do the trick, right? So, Sculpt Forge. Alright. Next up. Grinding Station. Perfect. Nothing too fancy with this one, because I don't know what to do, right? Enchanter's Crucible will come out a little way. Please work. Thank God. We also time set day. So all I really did was change, well, I should say define what blocks have to go here, because it used to just be the Soul Campfire, block of Amethyst in the middle, and then Crying Obsidian all around. But now we have Crying Obsidian stairs, which are just block covers, right? Inside here is just a blackstone stair, and then blackstone stairs and walls. So I think that's a little bit nicer. You still have to find your way up to the top, though. So maybe I should have it build a staircase or something. I could probably work with that, right? But anyway, Enchanter's Crucible. Alright, so the last tricky one is the fancy one. Fanciest one. No, Shulk Exchange. Never mind, we hadn't done that yet. So, we have, well, you can see it right here, right? It basically uses the completed end portal, and this is not a completed end portal, so I can't remember if I actually set that yet, where it detects whether or not there is an end portal in the middle. But hopefully, we can still use it. Basically, you drop it on any of the end portal frames, and it will build. Which it doesn't, because there is no end portal. Yeah, alright. That is my problem. How do I fix this without teleporting in there? I want... You know what? I can do it this way. Whatever you look at is where it places, right? So if I look here, and we go set block, and we go end portal. Perfect. Now it should, because that's the only block that I'm actually detecting, and it's not. Why is it not? Why is this broken too? Alright, back to the drawing board. Okay, third time's a charm. So, we drop this now. Perfect. This area does not have the requirements to build this structure. Oh, I guess I was off alignment. But yeah, there we go. So it gets consumed, and it builds this. Right, the idea is you can still go through the end portal, through these little gaps, and then crafting purposes, you will be using the central, right? This Shulk Shrieker. I will probably work on something to make it a little bit more fancy. The idea is you're combining the two elements. But yeah, then we also have Shulk Forge. Perfect. Let's see if this works now. It does. Beautiful. Alright, so this is the fancy schmancy new structure. which is definitely the one I've put the most work into, if you probably could tell. So it's a mixture of the two. We have some Shulk Shriekers. We have, well, actually I got rid of the Shulk Shrieker. This is just a Shulk sensor. That way it doesn't give off the loud noises like this one. Although this one is far less triggered, right? But I think it looks really pretty. Combine the two. I want the amethyst from the other one, and then just the shulkness, the other segment, right? Because we had, again, the two, where you go into, like, soul infusion is the way I'd put it, right? And then crystal stuff with the other one. So yeah, I think this is a nice little blend, and now it's the only one you need, right? You don't have to mess around, build two. You still need a shulk catalyst, though, which means you have to either find one in a chest or KO the warden, right? But yeah. So those are all the multi-block structures now, and I think that's a little bit better. Makes it a bit easier. Crafting is still something I have to work on. Deleting these, make sure everything gets cleaned up, is also an issue. Why is this... Ooh, that's interesting. It should have a forge there. A lightning rod there. Where was it? Lightning forge. Make sure it's correct. Yeah, alright. Just got deleted somehow. Interesting. And make sure all the chains and everything go. But yeah, so I can work on these slowly now is the big thing, right? If I want to add more texturing to them, make them more fancy, I can do that as need be. But for now, this is definitely going to be the better way to handle the multi-block structures for the pack. And it's cool to actually kind of see that there's 13, which is kind of big. But yeah, so in terms of crafting advancements, this is definitely the initial step of what I will be working on for a little bit now. So crafting, oh God, I don't know if I give like a blank structure kit first and you have to assemble this and then you combine it with whatever resources. Now, I'd love to use the crafting table, right? I know this has been updated. Has it, well, I'll have to look into it, right? But NBT can go in this side. NBT cannot come out that side. And that has always been an issue. So hopefully the update fixed that, right? And they made it available for recipes, because this is probably the best way to craft them. Otherwise, it will have to be drop crafting, which will probably require another multi-block structure, a single block structure maybe, right? And you just drop the structure kits along with whatever resources are like. How many is this? You'd need 12 blocks of netherite, 4 lodestone, and a shulk shrieker, and 4 chains, I guess, or some iron maybe, to make this structure, right? Versus the egg, and I'd probably just go with endstone bricks rather than actually require specifically stairs and walls, right? I think that's a little easier. But yeah, so yeah, fun for me. I'll have to think about it. And even like the hammer and saw aspect, do I make them craftable, or you know, what's the go should be the question, and how should they be crafted? Hopefully recipes work, because I think they'll probably be best. But then you also have the issue of counts, right? Because you can do count like that, right? But you can't do count like that, I think. Yeah. So I will look into it, but yeah, I just wanted to show off the multi-block structures and give like a pseudo update. So I'm working on that, and then I'll work on the advancement overhaul, and then I will probably try to fix up the Enchanter's Nexus, since that's completely broken from the port. And then, I don't know, patch, bug, and initial release. And then we work on bosses, and that's the go, because, yeah, a lot of stuff is coming along for the pack. Anyway, we'll leave it. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.